Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. Three friends hurried into Club Enigma, a busy club in the city. The club was full of energy, with bright pink and blue lights on the walls and loud music filling the air. "We're here," said the blonde friend, fixing his shirt. "I'm glad we finally found a parking spot." "It was worth it," said the friend in a polo shirt, looking at the busy dance floor. "There are a lot of interesting people here." The friend in a white t-shirt and dark jeans walked straight to the bar. "We need a toast. We'll need drinks if we want to talk to anyone tonight." They moved through the crowd to the shiny bar, where a bartender dressed in black worked quickly. The blonde ordered 3 whiskeys while his friends watched the people in the club. "Look at the redhead by the DJ booth," said the friend in the navy polo, nudging his friend. "She keeps looking at us." "You always think they're looking at you." White t-shirt laughed. "Remember last week? That girl was actually waving at her boyfriend behind us." "That was one time." The drinks arrived in heavy crystal glasses. They clinked them together before taking long sips, the whiskey burning pleasantly down their throats. The alcohol mixed with the electric atmosphere, making everything feel more vibrant and alive. "Something tastes different about this." The blonde examined his glass, holding it up to the strobing lights. The liquid seemed to shimmer with an almost iridescent quality. "Probably just top-shelf stuff." Navy polo drained half his glass. "Costs enough." They turned to face the dance floor, leaning against the bar. The crowd surged and swayed, a mass of bodies lost in the music. But something felt off. The blonde shifted his weight and frowned. "My legs feel weird." He glanced down at his black dress shoes. "Like pins and needles, but different." "Mine too." White t-shirt rubbed his calf through his jeans. "Must be from standing all day at work." But the sensation intensified. The blonde watched in confusion as his shoes began to change shape. The flat soles rose, pushing his heels upward. The leather narrowed and refined until he found himself balanced on 3-inch heels. His gray slacks started creeping up his legs, the fabric lightening and thinning. "What the hell?" Navy polo grabbed the bar for support as his own brown loafers morphed into strappy sandals. His khaki pants shortened into a pleated skirt that barely reached mid-thigh. "This can't be real." White t-shirt's voice pitched higher as his sneakers transformed into ankle boots with significant heels. His jeans tightened and shortened into form-fitting shorts that left most of his increasingly smooth legs exposed. The changes accelerated. Body hair vanished like morning mist. Muscle definition softened. Hips widened while waist narrowed. The blonde felt his button-down shirt tighten across his chest as new curves developed. The fabric shifted from gray cotton to silky red material that tied at the midriff, exposing a flat stomach. "We need to get out of here." But even as the words left his mouth, they sounded different, higher, softer. "I can't move." Navy polo's hands flew to his throat as his voice changed too. The navy shirt had become a sparkly black halter top that showed significant cleavage. "What's happening to us?" Their faces tingled and shifted. Jawlines softened, cheekbones lifted, lips filled out. The blonde's short hair began growing at an impossible rate, cascading past his shoulders in golden waves. His friend's dark hair lengthened into a sleek bob, while the third's brown hair tumbled down in soft curls. "Look at your faces!" White t-shirt, now wearing a silver crop top, pointed with manicured nails that hadn't existed moments before. They turned to the mirrored wall behind the bar and gasped. 3 women stared back at them. The blonde in the red tied shirt and black miniskirt. The brunette in the sparkly halter and pleated skirt. The one with lighter brown curls in the silver top and tight shorts. "This is impossible." The blonde touched her face with trembling fingers, feeling the smooth skin and delicate features. Her voice was unmistakably feminine now. "But it happened." The brunette adjusted her halter top, which barely contained her new assets. We're women. Completely." The curly-haired one examined her body with wonder. Every single part. They stood frozen at the bar, processing their transformations. Around them, the club continued as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. The bartender approached with fresh drinks. 3 cosmopolitans, ladies. On the house? He winked and moved to the next customer. He called us ladies. The blonde picked up the pink drink with a shaky hand. Because we are. We actually are. Should we leave? The brunette touched her bob nervously. Try to figure out how to reverse this? Can we even reverse it? Curls examined her reflection in her phone screen. And honestly, do we want to? They looked at each other, really looked. The fear and confusion remained, but underneath stirred something else. Curiosity, even excitement. We came here to meet women. The blonde's red lips curved into a smile. Maybe we were thinking about it wrong. You mean? The brunette's eyes widened. Why not enjoy it? The blonde raised her cosmopolitan. When else will we get a chance like this? That's insane. But Curls was already smiling too. Completely insane. So is turning into women in the middle of a nightclub. The brunette laughed, a bright musical sound. But here we are. They clinked their glasses together, the pink liquid sloshing. The sweet cocktail went down smooth, so different from the whiskey they'd ordered as men. Everything felt different now. The way their clothes fit, how they stood in heels, the weight of hair on their shoulders. We should dance. The blonde set down her empty glass. Isn't that what we'd want the women we approached to do? Dance like this? The brunette gestured at her outfit. I don't even know how to move in this body. Only one way to learn. Curls grabbed their hands. Come on! They teetered toward the dance floor on unfamiliar heels. The blonde caught herself against a pillar, laughing at the challenge of walking. Her red-tied shirt shifted with the movement, reminding her constantly of her transformed state. The music enveloped them as they found space among the writhing bodies. At first they stood awkwardly, unsure how to move, but the rhythm was infectious. The blonde started swaying her hips, finding it surprisingly natural. The brunette followed, her sparkly halter catching the lights. This is Vamisfield, Curls spun, her silver top riding up. I can't believe we're doing this. They grew bolder, moving with increasing confidence. The heels that had seemed impossible became manageable, then comfortable. Their bodies knew how to move, even if their minds struggled to catch up. Ladies looking fine tonight. A man in a black leather jacket approached, his smile confident. Can I buy you a drink? They exchanged glances. This was what they'd hoped would happen tonight, just from the opposite perspective. We're good, thanks. The blonde's rejection came out flirtier than intended. Just enjoying the music. Your loss? He shrugged and moved on to other targets. Did that just happen? The brunette touched her black halter. Did we just get hit on? First of many, probably. Curls nodded toward a group of men, clearly checking them out. This is so weird. They danced through several songs, growing more comfortable with each beat. The transformations felt less shocking and more interesting. They caught themselves checking their reflections in the mirrored walls, adjusting their hair and clothes with increasingly feminine gestures. I need air. The blonde fanned herself with her hand. And maybe another drink. They made their way to the outdoor patio where smokers gathered under heat lamps. The cool night air felt refreshing on their flushed skin. They claimed a small table in the corner, sitting carefully in their short skirts and tight shorts. So what do we do now? The brunette crossed her newly smooth legs. When the club closes? Go home, I guess. But the blonde sounded uncertain. See if we change back? What if we don't? Curls pulled at a brown ringlet. What if this is permanent? They sat with that possibility. The initial panic had faded, replaced by something more complex. Fear mixed with fascination, uncertainty tangled with opportunity. Would that be so bad? The blonde surprised herself with the question. Being like this? Are you serious? The brunette leaned forward. We were men 3 hours ago. We had completely different lives. Lives where we spent Friday nights hoping to meet women who usually weren't interested. The blonde gestured at her transformed body. Now look at us. We're the women. Curls laughed at the irony. The ones being approached instead of approaching. Exactly. The blonde's red-tied shirt fluttered in the breeze. Maybe we needed to understand this perspective. They fell quiet, processing the night's strange turn. Inside, the music shifted to something slower and more sensual. Couples pressed close on the dance floor, lost in their own worlds. "We should go back in." The brunette stood, wobbling slightly on her heels. "Make the most of whatever this is." They returned to find the club had shifted into a different gear. The lighting was dimmer, the dancing more intimate. They ordered another round of cosmopolitans and found space near the back wall. "Look at the DJ!" Curls pointed to the elevated booth. "He keeps watching us." The DJ caught their gaze and raised his drink in a toast. Something in his smile suggested he knew more than he should. The blonde felt a shiver run down her spine. "You think he did this?" The brunette voiced what they were all thinking. "Somehow? Does it matter?" The blonde sipped her pink drink. "It happened. We're here. We're this." A slow song started and couples paired off around them. They stood together, three transformed friends trying to make sense of an impossible situation. "Excuse me." A woman with short black hair approached. "I know this might sound forward, but would you like to dance?" She looked directly at the brunette. What?" The brunette nearly dropped her drink. "You're beautiful." The woman smiled. "And you look like you could use someone to dance with." The brunette glanced at her friends, who nodded encouragingly. "Okay, sure." They watched their friend being led onto the floor, the woman's hands gentle on her waist. The brunette moved hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. "Did not see that coming?" Curls finished her cosmopolitan. "Though nothing tonight has gone as expected." Understatement of the century. The blonde watched their friend dancing, seeing the surprise and wonder on her face. "She looks happy, though." "Yeah," Curls smiled. "She does." The night continued its surreal trajectory. They danced more, talked to people who approached them, experienced the club from an entirely new perspective. The blonde found herself in conversation with a woman who complimented her red-tied shirt. Curls ended up teaching a group how to do a line dance she somehow knew. "Last call!" The bartender's voice cut through the music. They regrouped at the bar, flushed and exhilarated. Their transformed bodies had held up through hours of dancing in heels. Hair that should have been sweaty and tangled still looked styled. Makeup that hadn't existed at the start of the night remained perfect. "So, that happened." The brunette's sparkly halter glittered as she laughed. "All of that actually happened. Best night out ever?" The blonde raised her final drink. "Or completely insane?" "Both." Curls clinked her glass against theirs. "Definitely both." They finished their drinks as the lights came up and security began herding people toward the exits. The harsh fluorescence revealed smeared makeup and wilted outfits on other club-goers, but they still looked as polished as when the transformations completed. Outside, the street was chaos as people called rides and stumbled toward late-night food spots. They huddled together on the sidewalk, the reality of their situation settling in. What happens now? The brunette pulled her phone from a purse she didn't remember acquiring. "Do we just go home like this? Where else would we go?" The blonde checked her own phone, finding it transformed into a rose gold model with a glittery case. "My apartment keys are still in my pocket. Well, my skirt pocket." "Mine too." Curls held up a keychain with added charms. "Guess we're meant to go back to our regular lives. Just not as our regular selves." They ordered separate rides, each lost in thought about what morning would bring. Would they wake up restored to their original forms? Would anyone remember them as they were? Did they even want to change back? Text when you get home safe. The blonde hugged her friends, noting how different the gesture felt with their new bodies. "And in the morning, whatever happens, we'll figure it out." The brunette squeezed back. "Together, always." Curls joined the embrace. "No matter what form we're in." The first ride pulled up. The brunette climbed in carefully, mindful of her short skirt. She waved through the window as the car pulled away. Minutes later, Curls departed in her own ride, leaving the blonde waiting alone. She studied her reflection in a shop window. The woman staring back was undeniably attractive. Golden hair cascading over the red-tied shirt, long legs extending from the black miniskirt, feet still somehow comfortable in heels after hours of dancing. But more than that, she looked complete. Like this was who she was meant to be. Her ride arrived. The driver didn't blink at picking up a lone woman at 3 a.m, just confirmed her address and pulled into traffic. She watched the city lights blur past, wondering if the world would look the same through these eyes tomorrow. The apartment building looked identical, but the walk to her door felt different. The heels clicked on the hallway floor. Her hips swayed naturally. The keys felt smaller in her manicured hands. Inside, everything was as she'd left it, but she moved through the space like a visitor. The bathroom mirror confirmed the transformation remained complete. She removed the heels first, sighing as her feet touched the cool floor. The red-tied shirt came next, then the black skirt. Each piece of women's clothing removed revealed more of her altered form. She showered, half expecting the hot water to wash away whatever magic had changed her. But the feminine body remained. She dried off and faced a dilemma. Her closet contained only men's clothes. In the end, she pulled on an oversized t-shirt that fell to mid-thigh. It would do for sleeping. Tomorrow, she'd deal with the practical matters of clothing that fit, identification that matched her appearance, explanations for anyone who noticed the change. Her phone buzzed with texts from her friends. Both had made it home safely. Both reported the transformations holding steady. Both expressed the same mix of anxiety and anticipation about what came next. She climbed into bed, her longer hair spreading across the pillow. Everything felt different. How she positioned her body, where her weight distributed, even how the sheets felt against her skin. But as she drifted toward sleep, one thought persisted. Maybe different wasn't bad. Maybe it was exactly what she needed. Morning arrived with streaming sunlight. She woke slowly, momentarily disoriented. Then memory crashed back and her hands flew to her body, still female, still transformed, still impossibly real. She sat up, blonde hair tumbling around her shoulders. Her phone showed dozens of messages in their group chat. Both friends reported the same. They'd woken up as women. Whatever had happened at Club Enigma appeared to be lasting. The panic she expected didn't come. Instead, a strange calm settled over her. She padded to the bathroom and examined her reflection in the morning light. The woman looking back seemed more real than the man who'd entered the club last night. Her phone rang. The brunette's name appeared on screen, though the contact photo now showed her feminine face. Still a woman? No preamble needed. Still a woman, she confirmed. You? Same. So is Curls. We're meeting for breakfast to figure this out. Can you make it? Give me an hour. I need to find something that fits. She ended up in the same oversized t-shirt, belted and worn as a dress with the heels from last night. Not ideal, but it would get her to breakfast. The bigger challenge was leaving her apartment in daylight, where neighbors might notice. But the elderly woman from 3B just smiled and said good morning. The doorman waved like always. Either the transformation had altered everyone's memories, or they simply didn't look closely enough to care. The diner where they always ate weekend breakfast buzzed with its usual energy. She spotted her friends in their regular booth, looking surprisingly put together despite wearing last night's clothes. The brunette had styled her bob differently. Curls had managed to tame her hair into a ponytail. So we're really doing this? She slid in beside them. Living as women now? What choice do we have? The brunette stirred sugar into her coffee with delicate movements. I tried everything this morning. Nothing changes us back. Did you want to change back? Curls asked quietly. Really? They sat with that question. The server appeared, the same one who'd waited on them countless times as men. She took their orders without a flicker of recognition. I should want to. The blonde finally answered. This is insane. We can't just become women overnight and act like it's normal. But? The brunette heard the unspoken word. But it feels right. The admission came out in a rush. More right than anything has in years. Same. Curls touched her curly hair self-consciously. I woke up expecting to panic. Instead, I just felt relieved. Like we finally match on the outside what we were inside? The brunette voiced what they were dancing around. Even if we never knew it? Their food arrived. They ate quietly, processing the magnitude of what they were accepting. Around them, The diner carried on with its Saturday morning routine. Normal people living normal lives while they grappled with transformation. We need clothes. The blonde gestured at her makeshift dress. And new IDs eventually, and to figure out work on Monday. One step at a time. The brunette pulled out her phone. First, shopping, then we tackle the rest. They spent the day acquiring wardrobes that fit their new bodies. The experience of trying on dresses and skirts felt surreal, but increasingly natural. Each purchase was a small acceptance of their new reality. This is permanent, isn't it? Curls emerged from a fitting room in a floral sundress. We're not changing back. I don't think so. The blonde adjusted the green blouse she was trying. And honestly, I'm okay with that. Me too. The brunette added a blue cardigan to her growing pile. Is that crazy? The whole situation is crazy. The blonde laughed. But here we are. They left the mall with bags of new clothes and a growing comfort in their skin. The afternoon sun felt different on their faces. The world looked different through these eyes. Everything had changed, but maybe it had changed for the better. Dinner at my place? The brunette suggested. We can figure out next steps. They agreed, parting ways to drop off purchases and change into clothes that actually fit. The blonde chose a simple yellow sundress from her new wardrobe. It felt strange but right to zip it up and see how it complemented her hair. The brunette's apartment had always been the gathering spot. They arrived to find her in jeans and a purple sweater, looking remarkably comfortable. Curls showed up in a pink skirt and white blouse, moving with increasing confidence in her body. I called in sick for Monday. The brunette poured wine into 3 glasses. Figured I need time to sort things out. Smart. The blonde accepted her glass. Though what do we tell people? That we're suddenly women? Why tell them anything? Curls suggested. Maybe everyone remembers us this way. Like reality shifted, and only we know the difference. They tested the theory, calling family and friends. Sure enough, everyone acted as if they'd always been women. Photos on their phones showed feminine versions of themselves at familiar events. Social media profiles displayed years of history as the people they'd become. This is wild. The brunette scrolled through pictures of herself at college graduation as a woman. How is this possible? Does it matter? The blonde found herself caring less about the how and more about the what now. We're here. We're this. We can either fight it or embrace it. Embrace it. Curls raised her glass. To our new lives. They toasted, the clink of glasses marking acceptance of the impossible. The evening progressed with planning and laughter. They practiced walking in heels, experimented with makeup found in mysteriously stocked bathroom drawers, shared the surreal experience of navigating the world in female bodies. You know what's funny? The brunette refilled their glasses. We went to that club hoping to meet women. And we did? The blonde grinned. Just not how we expected. We met ourselves, Curls added thoughtfully. The selves we were meant to be. As midnight approached, they made plans for the next day. Shopping for work clothes, figuring out the practicalities of their new lives, supporting each other through the transition that had already occurred physically, but still needed to happen mentally and emotionally. I should go. The blonde stood, smoothing her yellow sundress. Big day tomorrow? Every day is going to be big for a while. The brunette hugged her goodbye. But we'll manage. Together. Curls joined the embrace. Always together. The night air felt cool on her bare legs as she waited for her ride. She looked up at the stars, wondering if somewhere the DJ from Club Enigma was smiling at his handiwork. It didn't matter. What mattered was moving forward. The blonde woman who entered her apartment that night was the same person who'd left it the previous evening, but also completely different. She hung up her new yellow sundress carefully, already planning tomorrow's outfit. Her reflection smiled back from the mirror, confident, complete, finally comfortable in her own skin. Whatever magic had transformed them, whatever force had rewritten reality to accommodate their new forms, she was grateful. They'd gone seeking connection and found it in the most unexpected way. Not with strangers on a dance floor, but with themselves. She slipped into bed, her long blonde hair fanned across the pillow. Tomorrow would bring challenges as they navigated the world in bodies that still felt new, but tonight she was exactly who she was meant to be. Her phone lit up with a group text. The brunette had sent a selfie in her pajamas, looking radiant. Curls followed with her own photo, grinning widely. The blonde added her own image to the chain. 3 women who'd found themselves in the most unlikely way. "Good night, ladies," she typed, smiling at how natural the word felt. "Good night," came the replies. She set the phone aside and closed her eyes. In the morning, she'd wake up still transformed, still female, still discovering what that meant. But for now, she drifted off to sleep with a smile on her lips, grateful for the magic that had shown her who she really was. The apartment was quiet except for the distant sound of traffic. Somewhere in the city, Club Enigma was probably preparing for another night of music and mystery. She wondered how many others had experienced similar transformations, how many had discovered their true selves on that dance floor. It didn't matter. What mattered was that she and her friends had found their way to authenticity, even if the path had been impossible. They were women now, fully and completely, and that truth felt more real than anything in their previous lives. The last thought before sleep claimed her was simple but profound. Sometimes the best nights out were the ones that changed everything. And sometimes change was exactly what the heart needed, even if the mind hadn't known it was missing. In apartments across the city, 3 friends settled into sleep in bodies that finally felt like home. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and discoveries. But tonight, they were exactly where and who they needed to be. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.